New York.
Since the start of the new year, President Trump has lashed out against world leaders, Democrats, and the media. And now he has a new target.
I think furious, disgusted would probably certainly fit when you make such outrageous claims and completely false claims against the president, his administration, and his family.
That's what the White House says was President Trump's reaction to comments Steve Bannon reportedly made in a new book about the Trump campaign. According to The Guardian, Bannon called a 2016 meeting at Trump Tower treasonous. The president has responded with a statement saying that when Bannon lost his job, he lost his mind. Erin Delmore is the senior political correspondent for Bustle.com, and she joins me now. Erin, it seems appropriate. We're starting off the new year with this kind of intensity. Let's talk about what the president has done here, going after Steve Bannon in this deeply personal statement, in this very public way. Has Steve Bannon essentially lost his political clout following the defeat of Roy Moore in Alabama?
The issue here is that, according to the book and according to these reports that have come out, Steve Bannon didn't just target the president with his comments, he also targeted the president's kids. And that has always been a big red line for the president. The president, of course, is somebody who prizes loyalty above candor, above different opinions in his administration. And even though Steve Bannon was one of his closest confidants and has taken a share of credit for propelling him into the White House, that's going to be a hard thing for the president to reach across.
So in the president's statement, a lengthy statement against Steve Bannon on Wednesday, this is what the president said, quote, "Steve Bannon has nothing to do with me or my presidency." Remind us, though, of the role that Steve Bannon played in the White House.
If you think about the 30% of Americans who stand by Donald Trump's side, a lot of them are also Steve Bannon loyalists. These are the people who are on the far right side of the party, who believe in populism, in nationalism, in America first. It wasn't just Donald Trump who corralled these forces together. It was somebody like Bannon who spotted this trend moving forward across America. However, when he departed the White House, Steve Bannon took that movement and corralled it along with him. That's when we get to the Alabama Senate race and we see Steve Bannon pushing somebody like Roy Moore, who's to the right of Luther Strange. That set up the first war of wills between these two camps. This is like a sledgehammer down the middle of that fight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this continues to play out. Meantime, also on Wednesday, White House officials and congressional leaders met to discuss their priorities for a bipartisan spending agreement ahead of a January 19th deadline. Statements from both Democrats and Republicans stressed the importance of resolving budget issues. What are some of the hiccups here, Erin?
The statements made it look as though there would be possibly a path forward, but neither statement from either side looked optimistic. The sticking points that we had at the very end of December that caused Republicans and Democrats to punt so many of these issues into the new year remain. We're looking at fights over increasing spending caps. That's a prerequisite to setting the budget for the next year. But there's also a fight tied in there about immigration, what to do with these 700,000 Dreamers who were brought to the U.S. as children. There's another fight over funding for CHIP, the Children's Health Insurance Program. There's a small provision that's tucked in about renewing a national security surveillance program, a post-9/11 program. And there are even more things tucked in. Veterans benefits is one of them. The reason why there's so much to conquer is because this is a must-pass spending bill, and it requires Democratic support. So Democrats think that they have leverage here to push their agenda. They might, they also might not. We could see a third short-term extension here, and we could see the fight just go down the road again.
Yeah, the clock is ticking. So, Erin, Senator Orrin Hatch, the longest-serving Senate Republican, announced Tuesday that he will retire at the end of his term. Now, several GOP sources have told CBS News that former presidential nominee Mitt Romney has been preparing for Hatch's retirement. Do you think the White House would welcome a return of Mitt Romney?
If you're in the White House, you're trying to figure out whether Mitt Romney will be a reliable Republican vote, someone you can count on to carry out the Trump agenda, or whether he will be one of the vocal critics on the Republican side. We've seen that in Bob Corker, we've seen it in Jeff Flake, and certainly Mitt Romney has not held back to bashing the president when he felt it was deserved. If you think back to the comments that the president made after Charlottesville, Mitt Romney stood up and he called it wrong. He also warned against the president as he was becoming the presumptive nominee back in the spring of 2016, saying that his foreign policy approach could be hard for the rest of the world and for the United States. That said, we saw tensions thaw when Mitt Romney was looked at as a possible Secretary of State. So if you're in the White House right now, you're trying to figure out whether Mitt Romney will be a plus or a minus, whether he will become a leader of the anti-Trump movement in Congress. And you might be looking down the road to see if Mr. Romney still harbors any presidential aspirations.
Oh, never a shortage of things to watch. Erin Delmore, thank you so much.